What's up, guys? Welcome to the Sunny with a Chance So Random virtual reunion.
Woo! It's a party get down.
It's a party get down.
Party get down.
It is. It sure is.
Get down.
Yeah.
It was a party. We got down.
How's everybody doing? What has everybody been up to since the show?
Everybody
I don't know,
all at
Tiffany,
once, go.
What have you been doing?
Rehab. Several times.
Yes, we should have started with Demi. I'm sorry, Tiff. Demi, take it away.
Honestly,
I'm glad you're better, though, and I do have to say, the national anthem was fucking phenomenal. I was bawling my eyes out, just FYI.
Me too.
Yes, let's not forget, it's not just rehab. You also performed at the Grammys.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Wait, what are you guys doing in quarantine?
Painting. A lot of painting over
Oh,
here.
me too. You want to see one? It's just
Yeah.
right here. Not that I was expecting this question.
Oh my
Whoa.
god! Awesome.
oh,
Nice.
That's gorgeous.
So some of the paint is glow in the dark, and also they are. I found. Did you know there is such thing as rainbow eucalyptus trees?
No.
Hawaii, yes.
I can
And
see
they
it.
look similar to this, so I decided to paint them.
Wow.
Beautiful. I love it.
Nice.
I feel like if anyone in the world knew about rainbow eucalyptus trees, it would have been Tawny, but she's not a real person, so.
Not anymore.
Wait, do you have the Moco Coco? Do you have Moco Coco?
Okay, that's not real either.
Wait, but Tiffany, all of Brazil wants to know, do you have Moco Coco?
Tiffany, are you going
It's
to come to
Coco
Brazil?
Moco
At least we're here
Coco.
for them.
And first of all, brown lip shades don't even look good on me, so I don't know why they picked
Oh,
that.
that is.
What?
I just remembered what that was. I was like, what is this moco thing?
Demi
I
has
was trying to
no
remember.
memory of swag. No. I just have clear lip gloss. Anything I use on my lips is not called Coco Moco Coco because that was also not real, so it doesn't actually.
You guys, what was the name of that like demon mannequin we would hide in each other's dressing rooms? And
Whoa.
It was
Oh my god!
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
name?
When
I
was
have the
little.
pictures. I have the
'Cause
pictures on my phone.
I had two. The first one was Ortho, and so I hooked him up.
Ortho!
Yeah, it was like a vampire mask, and I put him in this like little blue jacket, and everybody would have to sign him when they got scared by him, and then put it in somebody else's dressing room.
You know what's funny?
Early.
That never
It took me
ended up
3
in my
months to forgive you.
I remember punching Brandon one time in the
Just the
stomach.
once?
Just the ones that I remember. Because I don't like being scared and I come out like fighting. Like I'm not a fan of that. So like that ortho thing never ended up in my dressing room because I was coming out swinging. Like that was not my thing. And everyone knows I don't like being scared. I told Brandon like don't ever hide from me on set and jump out. Because you know on the back of the set you've got that walkway to the stage door and it's pitch black. Like you can't see hardly anything. And one time my dude, he forgot and he hid back there and behind one of those curtains, and he jumped out, and the second I could see his face, boom, I hit him right in the I was like, sorry, bro,
Wow.
I told you, like, I can't. And he was like, oh, why would you do that? And I was like, I warned you. I don't like being scared.
I
have
can't control my
self-defense
fists.
immediate. So
I did that when I was 7 and I got kicked out of a haunted house.
Oh.
That sounds right.
Haunted house is different than the back of a set,
Somebody
though.
Well, a
Basically.
haunted house is like, you know you're about to get scared, but
Right.
until somebody just, it was the first person to scare me, I clocked them right in the face.
Wow.
Hey, gotta lay down the law. Let them know early.
That's impressive for a 7-year-old.
For scaring Olivia Holt too bad. Weren't we like sent back to our set? Like,
Yeah,
We got
that
in
was-
trouble.
that was
We got
the
to
worst.
talk to us because was it Olivia or was it the Jesse cast? I remember we got sat down and it was like, you scared them too much. We like got in trouble.
Yeah, the
you guys
biggest
went
problem
to the
was-
other sets and, like, played around. I was, like, napping all the time or something. I don't even
Marsha talked to us. Remember Marsha?
Yeah, because what happened was because Dylan and I, that's how we met. Obviously, was
Oh,
so
shit.
I remember Dylan and I were talking, and I was telling him about our dummy that we would move from room to room, and he was like, "Oh, you should bring it over here." Olivia gets scared at everything, and I was like, "Cool." And so like Audrey and I run it over there, and like we hide it in her room, and then I get a call from Dylan. He's like, "Don't claim that it was you guys. Like, just lay low." Like,
I have no idea whose creepy doll that was.
traumatized
On the
Olivia
floor.
Holt.
yeah, she was like
signed with all of
sobbing,
our names.
sobbing.
Yeah.
It was a problem.
It
and,
was
like,
signed by everybody.
I know all of our names were all over it. Yeah, but apparently the set teacher was the most upset about it, being like, "Who did this?" Like Olivia was recovering, but the set teacher was like furious, and so that's how Marsha, I think, found out about it.
That is brilliant. The set teachers were talking amongst themselves about the cast scaring the other casts.
Yes.
How about
I definitely slept through that whole thing.
Yeah, me too.
I totally used some of my school hours to drive the set teacher's car. She taught me how to drive and counted it as school.
Oh, I mean, that counts.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
How about
off your painting? And it reminded me of all throughout season 1 how Marsha would let us have art days. And so it would be like on the film days, like we would just be painting and we would all like pick a word. So it would be like paradise or something. And we would all paint our interpretation of that.
Oh, that's cute.
I'm old, so I was never
so
in
much
school.
more concentrated. So, in the normal class size, there's like, 20 to 30 people, whereas on the set, 2, 3, 4, 5 in one class. With one teacher.
Marsha would take me to museums to bank school hours. And so
We went to the La Brea Tar Pits.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I went with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you guys went to the La Brea Tar Pits and I just got yelled at on set? That's amazing.
That's because you blabbered at the end of every line and the director freaking hated it.
Well, then call cut. What do you want from me? I'm going to keep going. Just do, that's literally your one job, right? It's like action and cut. So once all the lines have been said and the moment's passed, I think I'm entitled to say something because we haven't cut yet.
Apparently not, according to the director from first season. That dude did not like you.
Oh, man.
I just remember the one guy who was always like, "No, I'm just tap dancing here."
Oh,
like the catchphrase.
That's the guy that hated you, right, Sterling?
What?
Is that the guy that hated you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're doing here. No, listen, I'm just tap dancing here.
That's exactly what he said.
You will stop tap dancing and tell me what it is that you want.
I don't remember who said that, but I remember that phrase.
Yeah. I remember Brandon eating a prop croissant that was like years old.
Oh my god, that was amazing.
What?
Yeah, first season, maybe first episode, he bit into it, was chewing it, whatever, the scene was over, and he was like, oh, that is definitely a prop, not real, not a good thing to eat. Yeah.
That Brandon, I wish you were here.
Brandon gave me the best advice I've ever heard in my entire life. And it was one day I was on set. I was stretching, just kind of stretching before we were film a scene. And he comes up to me. He's like, oh, dude, yeah, you got to stretch. Stretching is so great. He's like, dude, yoga's amazing. He's like, I had a friend who started doing yoga. He was 5'6" after doing yoga for several months, 6'2". I was like, uh-huh.
I was like,
sure.
But see, the thing about
was
Brandon,
that
though.
after he fell off the rickshaw? It had to be after.
He said So Random was going to go for 8 seasons. He told me that with so much confidence.
That's what that's what I respect about Brandon so much, though. Is he can talk things. He can talk you into anything. Because one time, my Halloween decorations disappeared from my dressing room, and they were definitely in his dressing room. And I walked by, and I was like, nice Halloween decorations. And he was like, thanks, I just got them. And I was like, oh, cool, they're great. And I walked away being like, those are his decorations. I'm like, no, they're not.
No, they're not.
In your background right now, oh my God. How did you do that? That's amazing.
One? Yeah, no, it's good. It's for,
no, do it again.
Where Shane and I working on. Oh, so Randa's party get down? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm so jealous of that.
That's awesome.
Do you guys not have this built in most things you do right now? Zoom, Skype.
Damien, now just dance for 5 minutes. You just gotta keep it going. You just gotta keep it going.
Oh, stop.
You guys think hot
Remember,
way.
you're having fun.
Right?
You're not sweating. It's fun.
Remember that one episode where they were like, you 3 are going to be opera singers today. And we're like, okay. And they're like, I was like, what are we singing? And they're like, just make something up and rolling. And it's like,
that
and
was
I'm like,
every episode.
Yeah.
That was
What's
me.
up?
That was every episode. Any song I did, they're like, just go for it. And I'm like, looking back now, watching the episodes, I'm like, gosh, you were so gorgeous. You're still so gorgeous. I'm like, I remember how many hours we spent in the dressing room in saying oh, I would rather wear this, or I'd rather have this color jean, or this is not good on me, I'd rather, and I'm like, dang it, what I wouldn't give to look like myself back in my 20s. I even worried man, do I look fat in this costume? Do I do bad in this? And it's I wish I had just lived in the moment more and been
Totally. So
the
that's
people
what I
dressing
feel
me know what they're doing, you
But
know?
Tiffany, you have to understand, when I went away to treatment for the first time, I remember, like, you were my biggest inspiration coming out of it, because you, like, dealt with all of those pressures of being a woman on TV. I looked at that as like, God, I wish I had that so bad. Like, yes, I probably, like, was happier in my head with, like, whatever I looked like at the time, but, like, I'm so much happier now, like, with the mentality that you have, that I look back and I'm like, man, like, it's a shame that we wasted any energy thinking about what we wore on set. Like, I went to Will and Grace this time, and I, like, literally spent 10 minutes in the wardrobe room. It used to, my fittings would be like an hour, you know what I mean? But now I'm just like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like, what I'm wearing does not matter to, you know, it's just like, I don't know, but you really inspired me a lot, and I hope that my future kids someday will have the same mentality that you had at the end of the show, with, like,
Stop. So sweet.
I'd like to take a moment right now to say that I got the immense pleasure to visit Demi on set while she was doing Will and Grace, and I got to know her after she had been after Sunny. And so I always knew her as my friend, singer, and then as an actress, I never really got to see her work personally until I visited her on set for Will and Grace. She was incredible. Everyone on set was obsessed with her. Like, it's so impressive, because I forget, I take it for granted what a good actress she is, because she'd read the script once, twice, go on set, nail it, everyone's dying laughing, and it was so impressive to watch. So, like,
it was the same thing on Sunny. It was the same. I've never met someone who was able to go into the room, look at a script one time, which thank God, because you never looked at it the night before. Look at a script one time and memorize 99% of it, be funny, cry on cue, sing, play guitar, and you weren't sleeping. Let's be 100% honest.
Yeah.
You would stay up all night. You were unmedicated in a way that you really needed.
Yeah.
And you would stay up all night, and you'd come to set the next day, and you would sleep in between scenes because you were exhausted. And I'm like, what did you do last night? And you're like, I wrote like 12 songs.
No, that's so true. I wasn't sleeping, and, like, I was so miserable and, like, angry too, because I felt like I was being overworked, which I was, and, like,
Yeah.
you know, it was just like, I feel bad, because when I went back to Will and Grace, I was like, gosh, I miss Sunny so much, and I would do anything to recreate the set and do all of that, because I miss that environment, the fun times that we would have. It was just so great. And, you know, it definitely makes me question, like, what do I want to do in the future? More acting, more singing, like what? But yeah.
Well, the crazy thing is you could literally do any of it, because you're so good at that. And that's very rare. It's not, some people are really good at memorizing. Some people are really good at being funny. Some people are really good at crying on cue. Most people can't do all those things at one time. Fortunately for our show, you were able to do that. And that was a big, you know, that's what carried it.
Yeah, but you know what? You guys carried on without me. The show didn't stop with me. You know what I mean? You guys continued to do it, and you killed it, and it was awesome. And I, like, you know, I'm so glad that that So Random existed, because then I got to get to know Matthew, who's become one of my closest friends.
I remember the day he came on set for the first time, I called you and I was like, you have to meet this guy. You will love him. And you were like, I'm literally not in a headspace where I can make any new friends. Like,
I know.
Focused on, like, staying alive. Like, I have to focus. But maybe one day I'll meet him. And I'm like, girl, you're missing out. Like, I know you guys are gonna. I know you're gonna love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a reality. It was definitely a reality check doing So Random, because I would hear about all these other Disney shows where the kids would get super diva-ish, and I'm like, if writers can figure out how to do Sunny with a Chance without Sunny, nobody.
Yeah. It was
No,
like,
sure.
I'm not gonna lie, it was humbling for me too, because when I left, you know, it was like you don't expect the show to go on without you, but it did, and I couldn't have been happier for everybody, and I also just wasn't at a period of time where I was ready to be on camera again, and I just, you know, I could not go back into that environment, and there was other things that factored into it. And
but that's so good that you were able to recognize that. I feel like the Lord has blessed you with a continued career because you took the right steps. I mean, it's really hard for people who are successful to step away from being successful and do something else that helps them.
You know what's interesting? What's so interesting is, like, there are times where people step away and they think, oh, what happened to so-and-so? They like fell off or whatever. And it's like, no, sometimes they just choose to live a happier, healthier life. Yeah. And I'm like realizing that as I've gotten older, because when I was young, I kind of just, when you start off in the industry as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, whatever, you kind of value your self-worth with your success. And I'm sure, Allison, you can like relate to that because you were so young on the show. But like, I've definitely I have moments all the time where I'm like, do I want to continue this, or do I want to just pull a Tiffany and like move to Texas and have a family and have a farm and, you know, and Matthew can attest to that. I talked to him about it.
The animal thing, but yeah.
I am having a farm. I am having a farm.
Go for it.
Animals.
Farms have a lot of bugs.
We haven't talked about all this yet. I don't know anything about a farm. What are you talking about?
Okay. Well, I've been talking about a farm, and it's just something that I really want. Okay, so we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Give you some help with the horses anytime you're free. Come on by.
Oh my God, yes.
Hook you up. Like I have people ask all the time, do you still want to act? And it's a hard thing to answer because it's not like I don't ever desire to do what I did. Comedy is instant gratification. So you immediately feel good about yourself. Somebody's laughing at your joke. Whether they're lighting up a sign that says joke, laugh, or whatever, but still, it's more instant gratification. End of the day, would I love to like do Hallmark films? Yeah, I would love that.
I can totally see that too.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But so tell Hallmark. But I'm in Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't put myself on tape for things. I mean, I haven't done that in like 6 years. During quarantine, Doug and his girlfriend have created these amazing like nature soundtracks to help your mental health, to help you just like zen out right before you fall asleep. So Allison, you're gonna have to like post this something. I don't know how this works.
I got it.
I don't know how to do technology because I'm old now. So you can do that, but y'all have to hear that. Oh my gosh, there's a bug. I got
Arkansas is crazy.
so many bugs in Arkansas. It's disgusting. Okay, I'm getting off track. Doug, you and your girlfriend doing y'all's thing. That's
Doug's
amazing.
girlfriend is so cool.
Thank you.
So cool.
Yeah, it is.
Audrey was such a joy. She was blonde back then, and people would be like, is she like a little you? And I'm like, I don't know. I think she's way better. But the first time we did a table read, and she came in, I was like, wait, they brought in another blonde girl? Like, is she taking my place? Like, what's happening? Because usually in a series, there's room for one blonde girl. Let's all be honest, okay? They're replacing me. I'm praying to God she's not funny. Like, this can't be happening. Like, what's happening?
And then she's so funny.
And then she was so good. And I was like, it's actually going to happen. They're going to replace me. But Patty
I
Gary
would like to sing Audrey's praises when I get a moment.
Good. Well, Patty Gary Cox was like, Tiffany, we're not replacing you. We just need more people for a show to happen. And I was like, okay, because like I'm trying my hardest here. Like I'm trying to be funny. And she was like, you're funny. Don't worry. And then Matthew.
Oh my God. Can you please go back in time and tell 14-year-old Audrey this? Because she was fresh off of like the suburbs of Indiana, had seen all of you guys there where I sat at home on like actually near a farm with lots of bugs. And then was all of a sudden in a room with all of you guys.
So you were Sunny.
Yeah, she was basically, yeah.
I was
Audrey with
so
a tan.
nervous. You know when you're so nervous that your face moves? My cheeks started vibrating. Like, and so multiple shout outs. I will say, like, Allison Arm changed my life because she was the one person who, like, made me feel like everything was fine. We did the first I'm Gonna Marry Zach Feldman show, and Michael Feldman came up to me with, like, so on line 38, we're going to change it to this, and then also, could you just be more center camera here, and then look in the jib for this line? And I was like, yeah. And then he walked away, and I looked at Allison, and I was like, what's the jib? It's the swingy camera! Like, she just immediately spoke my language. I just remember, okay, does anybody remember Eric's mini runs? I love mini runs.
You do?
Yeah.
I remember you pacing around the Rufus set, just mouthing to yourself.
My third season, you're like a freaking mini run. Are you kidding me? I've been here 8 hours. I want to go.
I still use cold as funny. And it's
Cold
true.
is funny.
If it gets warm, it's not funny anymore.
Cold is funny.
Old for comedy.
Cold is funny.
That's right.
Cold is just better for anything. you're
Yeah.
filming.
Demi, your
agree.
dressing room was 98 degrees every day.
Because I had an eating disorder and I was underweight and freezing.
So, I had your dressing room after you did, and I am a furnace of a human being. I'm always hot all the time, but for some reason, I kept that dressing room at like 98 degrees. I think your spirit lived on in the room.
I would have people over for meetings on my lunch breaks because that's how much I worked. And I would have people over, and
Every lunch break you had a meeting.
yeah, and so like people would come in. I'd be like
In a
blanket on the couch, and they were like, "Why is it 80 degrees in here?" And I was like, "Because I'm freezing." And they're like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with you?"
Yeah, every time I talk to somebody about unions and how crazy unions are, I tell them about how we couldn't get the heat on during our rehearsal days because there's like a union person who would have to come and turn the heater on. And so that's why they would push around. Remember, like they would have
I
the
do remember the heater.
rolling heaters. And so they would follow us from set to set, and we're all like freezing and huddled around. Like our blocking would just get closer and closer to stage so we could be near the heaters.
Here's a crazy thing. Speaking of unions, I'm not even SAG anymore.
Really?
Hey.
What?
I just was like, what's the point of paying like hundreds of dollars every year?
I guess that makes sense.
Then you get those 6 free movies. The hundreds of dollars pays for themselves.
You know, I haven't gotten
Remember movies?
in years because I think they go to my old manager's place.
Oh, they're cleaning up.
Yeah.
It's the scam. It's the long con.
And I want everybody to kind of answer this, but where do I think Tawny would be now?
Yeah.
And I get this question a lot, like, what do you think would have happened to your character? My hope was that she would have ended up with Grady's brother. Preston played your brother. Preston, I think Jones is that. He was so sweet.
Yeah.
And I think they were writing that in. Like, very end of second season, he came in, and Tawny had a moment where she kind of, like, looked at him. And then the writers were like, oh, we're running with this. Like, that would be so – he was, like, the frat guy, you know? Or, like, whatever he said. And I think that would have been like a really cute storyline because they were both kind of like full of themselves and whatever. So where does everybody like think, you know, let's pretend we're doing a actual 10 years later, Sunny with a Chance or So Random, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
like what is Rufus around still? What about your shins, Matthew Scott? Where would everybody be?
Yeah, I mean, G played the daughter of Mr. Condor for Condor Studios, and so she was Dakota. And I feel like that rivalry being continued, I feel like Zora would have tried to take over Condor Studios somehow.
100%.
Like the executive. I just remember that one scene of like me sitting down at Marshall's desk and like putting my feet up on the desk and being like, "This is Zora's future."
Cute, I love it.
Nice.
Sterling, do you think?
CDC.
Channy? What were you guys called? I don't even know.
Channy, I think, was the couple's name.
Obviously, Channy had to have happened. Come on.
Yeah, it's right if they didn't end up together.
Yeah, I think you had to get back together and then break up again, and then.
Yeah,
Here's the thing. See, Chad is very Hollywood, and Sunny is very down to earth. She wants to go have a farm in Austin, Texas, but Chad is still an actor, and he wants to continue it. So he stayed in LA, and they had to compromise, so they moved to Calabasas.
Calabasas, good middle ground.
Well, why'd they get the money for a Calabasas move?
Chad's still working. Yeah, Calabasas.
Tumblr is gonna go wild with this storyline.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually. I like Calabasas. I don't mind that. Yeah, I think that's probably what happens. I think that's fair.
I feel like that's what everybody does when they're trying to compromise between living in LA and living on a farm.
Doug.
What's Grady up to?
Yeah, where's Grady at?
It's such an interesting question because at the time, Grady was just like, it was like a 1-for-1 of who I was. I felt so much. But now thinking back, probably we're on a sketch show, so probably
SNL.
Huh? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, go on to do SNL, probably do some like. Well, it's
I know,
like
I'm forgetting that our characters were actors.
Either went on to have like a really solid career together, or there was like a really huge sundering fallout where it's like flash forward to 10 years and like we just like don't talk anymore, and it's like, oh, but why don't you? And it's like, I don't know. After that one day,
I don't know. Nico's always on a run. He can never get connected.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I just felt like he wasn't paying attention to me anymore. So we.
Aw, Nico and Grady.
Oh
What
my
about
God.
you, Brandon? Tell us what would happen with Nico.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, you guys remember there was like one photo shoot that we did, and Brandon for whatever reason couldn't make it, and they photoshopped him into the picture.
Yes.
This is like
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was jogging.
It was
Just jogging.
We love Brandon. I hope that if it would have, like, you know, in a world of all the dreams where I was still SAG, if we did, you know, a continuation, you know, years, whatever, later, that they would bring in the random crew too.
But here's the problem that just happened with Lizzie McGuire, was she was saying
Heard about
it's
this.
not realistic to do
Right.
a remake for someone in their 30s to not have adult issues. I love all of you guys so much, but I went through so much during that show that I would rather just start a whole new project with all of you.
Yeah, it's called Record a Zoom. Funny random people. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Going back to being overworked, Demi, especially because you and I were actual children. And I think that they forgot that you were a child, especially because you graduated early. You worked hard to graduate early, and then they could work you ridiculous hours. So, like, there's certain rules in place for sets. For anybody who doesn't know, is like, you know, you can only be there 9 hours as a child. So it's like you were still a minor, but being worked like an adult, plus under so many different bosses of, you know, going to the recording studio afterward, or like there's mandatory hiatus weeks where it's like, that's supposed to be our off time to relax. And it's like, okay, now Demi's going to Germany. And it's like, that's not hiatus. That's more work.
Yeah.
I had the best time with you guys.
Set proper boundaries.
When I think about the show, I miss you guys, and I miss like spending time with you and joking and going to Kitchen 24 on our lunch break.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
I miss the crew too, honestly.
And the crew was great. Yeah, there was a lot of great people, but that's what I miss. So if we were to ever do anything, I think we should just do a whole new thing.
Will and Grace reboot, you and me.
Good idea. Really quick, Dem, what advice would you give to someone who would be like in your shoes back then? If you could go back in time, would you have reached out to someone differently? Would you have like someone that ends up in that is a child actor that doesn't feel like they can say, you know, this is true?
I don't really know. You know, I think if I had like an answer, then, you know, I don't know if there is an answer, but I would just say, like, always speak up for your needs. You know, always tell the people around you, if you're tired, tell them you're tired. If you're sick, be honest about, you know, being sick and not feeling good. Just speak up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I love you guys so much.
Nice to meet you.
So good to see you guys, and I'll see you later. Love you.
Bye, Dem.
Bye.
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 I think
She's gone.
And now Brandon shows up.
Yeah,
Brandon's here.
I think
No, now Demi takes off the mask and it's Brandon.
I know. It's one of those like sitcom scenarios where it's like you keep missing her when she runs to the bathroom. Like, oh, did I? You're the same.
Yeah, I realized that's the first conversation. I've never met Demi before. That was my first conversation ever. It's weird because this is weird to say, but like she's obviously such a huge aspect of my life because being on Surrender was like the first big job I ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And I obviously knew why that job was available to me. And like, obviously when it was airing, we just had fans constantly being like, where's Demi? You guys aren't Demi. And I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely not. Like, I can't be.
The resemblance, Shane. I don't know. You got to be careful there. I see it.
I've never gotten so many questions about a person I've never met.
Yeah. It's just really trippy. I've only heard obviously great things from Matthew Scott over the past 10 years.
The funny thing about that too